Now let's take a look at the Mage. Jaina excels at board control, a pivotal strategy to master in Hearthstone. With excellent removal spells such as Fireball and Flame Strike, combined with your hero ability that can deal 1 damage to anything, controlling the board is the name of the game. While it's tempting to deal as much damage to the enemy hero as possible, removing all of their options while building up your own board gives you a much better path to victory. Here's a look at our given deck list, so you know what we're working with. Now it's time to ask the big question of the day. Does Trump hold up? With so many new cards having been added to the game, what can a new player do with just those free cards that you're given? Let's jump into a match and find out. Alright, so let's get into a game here. We are starting out rank 25, as a new player will. It's going to be a mirror match, actually, against another mage, so it actually should give us a good idea of who's going to use their tools given to them better. Frostbolt's not bad, we're going to keep that. We're going to get rid of Flame Strike and Polymorph. While they're good control cards, they're very high cost, and we want some minions, hopefully, that we can play early on. Unfortunately, we did not get those things, so we'll see how this early game goes. Now, one play that could be made, I have 1 mana. Arcane Missiles cost 1 mana. Deals 3 damage randomly split, so it'll be guaranteed 3 to the enemy hero. Seems not bad. But, given the amount of control it can give us over the board, we don't just want to waste that going for direct damage. Again, the mage is good at making good trades, so we want to make sure that we're doing that.
Someone called.
So now with the Voodoo Doctor out, Arcane Missiles becomes a much more valuable card. Now all I have to do is hit it once, and there you go, it's destroyed. So I get rid of one of their cards, plus still dealing 2 damage to the enemy hero. So now it had a lot more value. Putting out a 1 health minion just made it a very easy call for me to go for that Arcane Missiles. So I'm going to coin out probably a 3-drop. Survive Patriarch, that's not that scary. It is a Taunter with high health, but with only 1 attack, it's not really doing a whole heck of a lot that I'm worried about. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and ding it for 1, and end my turn. And that sets me up next turn. I can Frostbolt if I want to kill it, or at the very least it becomes a little bit easier to deal with. Either way, not a whole lot I can do right now. Again, my hand is definitely not geared for the early game. So we just want to make sure that I'm set up better once my cards do come online. For example, this Water Elemental I have in my hand has 3 attack, so bringing this thing down to 3 health can definitely be of assistance. And I think that's the play I'm going to go for, because I want to make sure that I'm in a good spot here. So I'm just going to bring out my Water Elemental and end my turn. We'll see what they've got. They've got a lot of cards in their hands since they played Arcane Intellect. So it's a little bit scary, but we'll see. Right now, I can trade very favorably into that. I'm still perfectly okay with that trade. He is right to go for the face there rather than coming into me because he can't do anything. That would just favor me. So that makes a lot of sense for him. At this point, I have a few options. I have 5 mana open, and generally you want to spend everything you can. I'm going to go ahead and Shattered Sun Cleric to give +1/+1 on Water Elemental. I'm also going to drop my Acidic Swamp Ooze just to have a bigger guy out there. Now I'll go ahead and get rid of his Silverback Patriarch. Still got 5 health remaining on my Water Elemental, so that's good. Now he can trade his Raid Leader into either my Shattered Sun or my Swamp Ooze. And that will actually not be a bad trade for him if he does that. Although he has a Fireball, which is very unfortunate for me. I don't know if he should have gone for the face there, but it's not the worst play he could have made, certainly. So at this point, I want to start exerting pressure on the board. I've got 2 bigger guys out than what he has. I'm just going to get rid of his Raid Leader because I'm afraid of what it can do to other minions that he brings out. So I'm going to go ahead and trade it off. I've got 3 damage directly. I have a few different ways that I can play this. I want the big guy on the field, though, and I think that's going to be my best bet. I have 2 mana left. Dealing 3 damage to the enemy hero is not worth it when that can get rid of a scary minion. So I'll go ahead and use that just to deal 1 to her directly. And now I've got a decent board with Fireball, Flame Strike, and Frostbolt all in my hand to take care of any big threats that she puts out. So if she did something like a Yeti, for example, or anything else, I have the tools to deal with it now. Whereas if I had just used them to try to hit her for damage, would not have been good for me. So he's going to hit me directly, which is probably not a bad move. However, since I'm a mage, I can just use this. It's 1 damage to take out a 4 attack dude, which is nice. And I still have 5 remaining. At this point, I don't really need to use any of my removal here, since I can just, with my Yeti, get rid of it. So I'm going to use my Gnomish Inventor. I think getting another card here is going to be helpful, since I'm running out of plays to make. So I'm going to run my Yeti into it. I lose out a little bit of damage right now, but it sets me up for more damage down the road. And again, my whole goal is to just make sure she just never has options, that she can't keep anything on the board really for more than a turn, if at all possible. So I can just keep enhancing my board, getting more guys out here that can deal damage, and just making sure that she doesn't have options. Of course, she's still got a lot of cards in her hand, so anything can happen, but with all of the removal that I have, I'm not terribly worried. So to get rid of my Yeti, which is a good play. Fortunately for me, I do have Fireball, which I'm going to go ahead and use. I'd love to get my Stormwind Champion out, but in doing so, I would just be setting myself up for a lot of pain. And it's just not worth it to me. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Fireball to get rid of this engine. I've got 4 mana left, and I don't really have a good use for it, because I want to keep all of this for removal.
Push forward. Hey, give me a minute.
So I'll just go ahead and hit her. Now she's down to 15, so I've done half my damage already. I'm ahead in life right now, even though getting her life down has been my last priority. My first priority is always making sure that I am clearing her board. Just making sure that she just never has anything that she can use. So now we both have 5 cards in the hand, but I have 2 minions in play and she has none, and I have a 6 life lead. So again, Lord of the Arena, cool card. It's a 6/5 with Taunt, very nice. Go ahead and hit me for 1, that was good. She almost went for my face and ruined that. She's doing it here so that next turn she can do it again and get rid of it. It's a good play. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and use my other Fireball because that's a big scary thing that I just don't want to deal with. I'll go ahead and bring out my Bloodfen Raptor so I have something else. Again, hit for 5. Again, the 2 mana, it is, at this point, not worth dealing 3 damage to her. So I'll just use my Hero Power. And that way I can save this so I still have a total of 6 damage in my hand just directly that I can deal. Or I can Flame Strike to deal 4 damage to all enemy minions. So I'm just giving myself a lot of options. Just making sure that no matter what comes up, I feel prepared for it. And right now I do. So at this point, it's going to be really hard for her to come back. Not impossible. Nothing's impossible. I don't know exactly what's in her deck. But it's going to be really hard for her to come back at this point.
For Nazata.
Got Darkscale Killer, which gave her 2 health. I think that's going to be some sort of removal card, just considering about exactly how to use it. There's a Polymorph, which honestly just doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I think that was more of a desperation play than anything. So right now is when I'm going to start calculating how much damage do I have. And right now, there's 5, 6. If I bring out Stormwind Champion, that's going to be another 3, which is 9. And then I have Frostbolt, which is another 3 damage. So I'm going to bring out my Stormwind Champion. Now I'm just going to hit directly. 4, 3, 2. Just got 2 left. Now I'm just going to Frostbolt to the face, and that'll do it. So you see, I have 21 life left. At no point was I worried about how much damage could I deal up until the very end when I was trying to win. When I was figuring out if I had enough damage to win the game. Up until then, it was all about trading and just making sure that I had options and she didn't. Now, this is more of a basic Hearthstone guide than anything, but the Mage is a great way to show it off. And hey, Trump's deck, it worked.